All right. I keep having this whole week, I don't know why, my VTF starts giving me some problems into the late afternoon. So I got this black screen again in the VTF on my side. And then I think you guys get stuck on the disclosure or something for a period of time. But you guys can all see, right? Oh, no, I'm not even... all right. I didn't turn on the microphone. Okay. Let's just get started. Oh, it's been a long week. I am an associate member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA. All trades made by Derrick are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. Position disclosure, nothing new really here. I did keep a little feeler in that Neuro, which is probably a mistake. Traded it super actively today. Got stopped out at one point. Rebought a little trade on it. Didn't get the follow through I wanted. It closed terribly. Probably a total pump and dump thing. But I kept a little feeler on just to watch. All right. Man, this is what I was saying before when I forgot to turn the microphone on. I've been having problems every day into the afternoon on the virtual trading floor, where it just shows a black screen for me. I kind of want to just give it a second because I feel like the last couple of times you guys got stuck on the disclosure and then it worked. So I know if I turn it off, it takes like 4 or 5 minutes for me to turn it back on. But people are saying that it's good, Caroline. So frustrating. I hate technology. Just gonna give this like 1 second. Oh, hello, tech department.
Hey, what's going on, man? Your video not displaying?
Apparently it's displaying just fine on the YouTube. It's not displaying great, and everyone can hear us, by the way. It's not displaying great in the virtual trading floor. But the same thing happened on mine in the last 2 days, and then it kind of corrected itself.
Rock on. Could you try not stopping your presentation and trying it again real quick while I remote?
I can, just so you know, it's not going to be real quick. So part of the problem is when I turn off the screen share, if I want to turn the screen share back on, it takes like 4 minutes for it to load. Tell me it just worked without me doing anything. Can you guys see now? I can see it on my end in the VTF.
I don't see it yet, but maybe it'll take a second.
I bet if you let this sit for a second, it's gonna hit. This is what happened the last couple of days. It's just worse today. Because I know if I turn this off, it's gonna take me like 5 minutes for even to get the screen to come back in.
Oh yeah, I see it on them in the room. Everyone just it's back. It's back.
Yeah. See, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. No, I did nothing. It just takes like a while to load in, especially when I'm running the other program to go to YouTube at the same time. But it's working now and everyone's watching, so yeah, we'll talk about it later.
But thank you everyone for your patience and
Thanks, man. All right. Okay, let's hop into it now that everyone can see. SPY's closed up 1.25%. Monster. Q's up percentage point. IWM up 1.75 percentage points. Man, fantastic follow through. I mean, the way the market sold off on Monday and the way that Gamma rolled off after OPEX on Friday, it really kind of widens the ranges. And I feel like I said this a day or two ago in a meeting. I was like, when these ranges widen, whatever price I feel like the market should stop, I almost should just automatically add a few dollars onto it. I was talking about like 440 to 442, and then I think I literally said, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually 443 to 445, just because when these ranges widen, that tends to be how it trades. And I usually, when we get these bounce backs like this and we're looking for a potential lower high to come in, that they overshoot it. And with that said, it could just be that the bulls have totally taken back control because it has been a bull market for so long. I'm still not totally convinced on it yet. I don't think that we're totally out of the woods in the market, but obviously, very obviously, it was an extremely bullish day. I mean, on a percentage basis, we're up huge. We filled this gap. We overshot it into the 21 EMA, retesting 445 on the SPYs. And that's kind of where we held today, but there was a very minor pullback at all kind of off of that. One thing we were kind of noting early on was that the VIX wasn't making new lows when the SPYs were making new highs, but eventually this VIX kind of gave it and started cratering and almost got to my target. My target on my VXX short has been $25. Low of the day today is like 25.25. I am out of almost all of my VXX position. I've got a little baby position left. So this was a great few day trade for me that paid me really well. And I'm almost out of it. And if the market pulls back and VXX pops again, then I'll probably look to reshort it. This is just one of the most garbage products ever. And we noted this volume on Monday just being so big as one of several potential short-term bottoming signals. And I always want to call them short-term bottoming signals. I actually prefer to call them retracement signals because picking tops and bottoms in the market is very difficult, right? You're better off strategically picking retracement points and looking for the retracement to come in, measuring where that retracement can go to, and then kind of taking advantage of it that way. So that is our SPYs. Incredibly bullish day. Let's see if we have a different day for different MO from Qs or IWM. Qs also perfectly filled their gap into the 21 EMA. Bulls are still clearly in charge here, but I don't think it's totally out of the woods for the bulls yet either. Really need to recapture some of the highs of these negative Maraboses. What about the IWM? The IWM is in some ways the most bullish chart right now. So the Russell has really struggled this year compared to the other indices. The IWM actually topped out in March and has basically been ranging for the entire year, as opposed to the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, which has been trending up all year. The Russell has not. So overall, our Russell for the year has been relatively weak compared to the S&P and the NASDAQ. However, into this rebound, I mean, we really actually started to see the relative strength come into the Russell in mid-August. If you guys remember this bounce when we were talking about it, that the Russell totally took over. There was like 10 trading days here, and the IWM was the relatively strong index for like 8 out of 10 days, or if it was 12 days, it was 10 out of 12 days, something like that. And then the market pulled back, and obviously on Monday, everything got whacked super hard. This is a huge snapback in the IWM. More than filled its gap, broke some resistance levels. The big spot I've been talking about for the IWM to recapture to actually get really bullish again is this day, 225.29, 225. High of the day today is 225.64, so we actually ticked above that today, but we did not close above it. So, IWM is looking fantastic, and you could actually even make the argument that the IWM is slightly extended to the upside, whereas the SPYs and the Qs are right into the upper band of equilibrium. So we no longer have, just when I was saying that the spam doesn't call me anymore, that the spam is all text, I got spam call ringing on my phone. Anyway, the SPYs and the Qs here back to the gap fill, back to the 21 EMA on their daily chart. So just back to that upper band of equilibrium, whereas the IWM has given total follow through, and that's where the relative strength has been. I mean, Russell is up almost 2% 2 days in a row. It just it's incredible strength, and that's where the focus has been. Another great day for ProDesk. Not as easy as yesterday because of where we opened. Opening into that 440 area for the SPYs was difficult, but another great day for ProDesk insofar as our call-outs, our names, our focuses, Palantir was called out in the first 5 minutes. This opening volume in this Palantir was the clue. Beautiful follow-through in Palantir for people who got involved in it. QS, great continuation off of the trade from 2 days ago with a new setup for today. We were talking a little bit in the VTF about Hood. Hood was a call-out from yesterday, and I kind of recommended not trading Hood today. What I really wanted was for Hood to give a rest day. What I wanted was for Hood to give the exact same setup that QS gave, right? So here's your day 1. Day 2 is rest, inside day. Day 3 is beautiful upside continuation. You could have bought this QS through 24.44, the inside day and up. When I spoke about this in the afternoon meeting the other day, the inside bar technique is an execution strategy for when you like other things, specifically momentum and trend. QS, I believe, is heavily shorted, probably for good reason. I really don't think it's a good company. But QS is very heavily shorted, had a big wake-up day on huge volume, so it had a momentum day. Momentum day on news, huge volume. Day 2 is rest. Day 3 is continuation. So you're utilizing the inside day high to execute in a trade where there is momentum. It's beautiful. That's what I wanted Hood to do today. Hood didn't do it. Hood actually broke yesterday's high today. So for me, that makes the potential setup for tomorrow a lot sloppier. It makes me like it a lot less. I really wanted Hood to stay within yesterday's range today. It broke out a little bit, didn't give any follow through. So it kind of creates a little bit of a sloppy candle on Hood and might not give us anything to bite into for tomorrow. But that's how that setup works, and it's definitely one that I really like. MGM was our big option flow stock of the day today. We saw an MGM risk reversal today, I believe, which you see that very rarely. It's a really bullish option bet coming in on this stock, and it gave great follow through yesterday into today. We have been talking about MGM for a while because MGM is one of the casinos that does not have the Macau exposure. It's the Macau exposure that has made LVS and Wynn Resorts so weak. MGM didn't have that, so it's held up really well. It's been strong, and just that's the option flow play of the day. Speaking of option flow, this TLT got wrecked today. Remember we saw all the bearish option flow coming into TLT yesterday? I was really kind of surprised. It didn't really make sense, but again, the market doesn't always have to make textbook sense. I was really surprised at the strength of the TLT into the close yesterday. Interest rates going lower, given what the Fed said. And then today we had this big gap down, traded through 150, which is a big psychological level. Look at what TLT did when it broke through, right? So TLT down, interest rates up. That tends to be relative strength for the IWM and relative weakness for the Qs. But I feel like I've noticed that when the IWM has relative strength, when the Qs have relative strength, let me take a step back. It seems like when the Qs have relative strength that the IWM really struggles to perform. That a lot of times the Qs could be having a great day and the Russell is like negative to flat on the day. It seems like when the IWM is what's relatively strong, that the NASDAQ still goes up, it just doesn't go up as much. I've seen that happen a lot over the course of the last couple of months, and I think it's noteworthy. So TLT down, interest rates up, tends to be better for banks. Banks had a beastie day, recaptured 38, which is important for it. Tends to be better for energy. Energy recaptured 50, XLE recaptured 50. It's a huge level. I know some people was asking about Oxy earlier today. 27 in Oxy is really important, and the XLE recaptured 50. Energy names are looking great. Financial names are looking great. The only issue is that maybe the bounce is too far, too fast, and if we're concerned about a lower high for the market, you don't want to be chasing these. But as of right now, energy, financials, really looking fantastic with that sell-off in the TLT and the signal on that. We saw the bearish option flow coming in. Neuro was a big focus of mine today. Definitely took up a lot of my energy, this Neuro trading it today. No news. It just was a Wall Street bet, short squeeze type name, and you can see they've squeezed this a couple times in the past. These things can definitely be like pump and dump type schemes, but I really liked the trade pre-market through 14. I know Shane was all over this early for us. I was a little bit late to it, so I started with the feeler at 14.50 pre-market, and I actually did It's funny because you look at the 5-minute chart of the Neuro here, and it almost looks terrible. But the way that I was trading it, it worked out really well. I was very patient on that initial buy. I bought a tiny feeler. And that was pre-market. I got a pullback, I think, pre-market as well, down to like 14.10 or 14.16, where I was able to buy some stock. Then got this pop back up for it to open above 15 that I sold almost all the stock for. Reloaded those feelers, got heavier into 14, caught this pop, got even heavier into the ADMA, because the ADMA is usually where the pivot happens on these types of stocks. Caught this pop, did well with it, commented right in here, and it looks like it's going to fail. Because if it was going to give the big short squeeze, it was going to happen on this bar right here. Volume came in huge, green Maribozu, they cleaned up past all the trouble areas, they broke through these tails. If it was going to go, it was going to continue here. I remember I had an offer at $14.99. The high was $14.94. I didn't quite get that offer, but I definitely sold enough on the way up. And then once this applied this pressure and broke this low, that's what I was telling you guys. You know what? I think this thing is probably going to fail. I don't just get out because it looks worse. I follow the game plan that I already have. And the game plan that I already had was to utilize here as a stop loss. So that's really where the trade failed. I did get involved again just with a feeler to kind of watch a little bit, and then started to really size up again into this 1250 area, and I knew it, and I said it out loud. You know, this is not a good trade. I'm just trading it. It's not good trading. I don't know what else you want me to tell you. Really just kind of trading it at this point because I traded it so actively this morning and it treated me so well in the morning. That's not a good reason to continue trading a stock when it shows you that it's failed. But at this point, I was thinking they sold this thing off so hard on this breakdown through 1375 or so, and they totally filled the gap, that let me come into this 1250 area and see if I can be a little bit of a hero for a trade back to 13 to 13 quarter. And I'll tell you why I really don't like the trade. Not just because it didn't work, but because it's reward limiting. I don't like, I was talking about this on the VTF earlier today, I don't like the reward limiting trades. When I'm taking the trades that are earlier in this thing at like, into $14, and I'm getting this rip higher, what's the potential reward on this? It squeezes to 15, it squeezes to 16, it squeezes to 18, it squeezes to 20. There was a real chance when Neuro started to go here that they actually come in with a real short squeeze, and with the way we've seen some of these stocks move, that they squeeze it back up to $20. Last time that they squeezed it, August 27th, that's exactly where it went to, $20. There's a real scenario that happens. When I'm looking at this thing here into the gap fill, I'm like, all right, maybe they fill the gap, some shorts that made money on the way down start to cover, and they kind of break this thing higher, and they turn it around where I can get a move to 13 quarter. Well, a move to 13 quarter is not the same as a move to $20. So it's so much more reward limiting to be coming in and taking this trade. It's not nearly as good of a trade, and that's kind of what I was saying. And I was being a little foolhardy of, oh, this thing treated me so well early on in the day. Let me kind of keep battling it and trading it back and forth and stuff. And I'll tell you, when I was watching this thing and I could see in the tape, there was definitely a huge seller who I think was someone who is stuck still from earlier, which is the other reason to not take that kind of trade at that point. When this low breaks here and this thing is failing, look at all this volume. Every single person that bought the stock in the first hour and a half of the day is then out of the money. And you know that there's going to be people that are trapped. Those trapped people are going to make the stock so heavy, and that's why that I couldn't get that bounce to 13 quarter. I could literally see it in the tape. Every time this thing started to uptick into the 60s and 70s, and I had loaded up a bunch of stock, I think around 1251 or something like that. Every time they popped it, and I would take some off there, every time they popped this thing back up into like the 1260s, 1270s, this huge edge exit, huge NASDAQ seller would start coming in with size. I just got an AMC alert. No, it's a false print. False print is $64, triggering like 7 AMC alerts on my software. Every time they would start to bounce this thing back up, the NASDAQ seller, the EdgeX seller was coming in with 4,000 shares, 5,000 shares, 10,000 shares, and it was so clear to me, you could never know this with 100% certainty, but it was so clear to me that it was a trapped buyer from earlier today who was puking out on every uptick and then puked out into the close. So the second half, and I told guys, I was like, yeah, I'm trading it. Probably don't recommend that you get involved with me because it's really not a good trade. And that's stupid because I threw some money in the garbage into the close in this thing after trading it so well. I traded this thing so well early on in the day. To then throw any money into the garbage at all into the close is garbage trading, and I shouldn't do that. But pretty much everything else that I was involved in and that I was looking at worked out really well. So overall positive day for me, and I'm pretty happy with how this week has gone. To be honest, you guys joined the open house just in time for this pretty exciting week with some big ranges and some good call outs here on the team. AFRM was another one, right? We spoke about the AFRM in the morning meeting. I was like, I really like this one, but I don't know how to execute it. So that was on the radar. OSTK on the radar. Look at the follow through on OSTK. ASAN on the radar. ASAN gave follow through on the bull flag breakout today. Also difficult to be able to execute. So definitely some really solid ones there. Oh, thanks for reminding me, Trey. Oh, pricing. That's all I got. I'll turn it over to questions. But again, I probably should have said this earlier. Guys, get involved in the team. This is our last afternoon meeting of the week. It's Thursday, right? Is it Thursday? It is Thursday. I'm losing my mind. I don't do afternoon meetings on Fridays. We do a morning meeting 5 days a week. We do an afternoon meeting 4 days a week. There's no afternoon meeting on Friday. So this is the last afternoon meeting of the open house that we were doing. So I really hope that everyone enjoyed it. I hope everyone has learned a ton and get involved. Some of you guys who've been communicating here into the pro desk, I think that you're going to make great additions to the team. You're communicating really cool stuff, really cool ideas. You're asking all the right questions. Those are the type of people that we want to be working with for sure. So reach out to info@T3 Live. Do the trading thing. I think that means you get a discount. But you got to call that. You got to call Caroline, Ashley, or Amber. And as soon as they answer the phone, you just go, trading. And then you get a discount or something, I think. I don't know. But if you do that, then that's the way to go. So that is all I've got. We should make some t-shirts. I got old fight t-shirts. I don't got many of those left. Those are like a collector's item now. All right. I'm going to scroll up here in the VTF for questions. Questions. We went through all the VTF not working in the beginning. People were having white screens. What's Nike doing? Nike not doing anything. Actually down $1 after hours here. It's like the third time I've ever seen that happen. First thing I'm seeing here is from David TC at 417. You've probably said this every month over the year after monthly options expiration, option vol, look at the monthly SPY pattern. Yeah, for sure. David, this is definitely something we've been paying attention to. The difference is the last couple of times the sell-offs were into the options X, they sold it off ahead of time, and then they rallied it back up. It's basically been that way the entire year. This time the sell-off happened after, and gamma rolls off a lot after options X, which increases ranges, but that happens to both sides, right? So once you got the gamma roll-off after options X, it makes it easier for the market to go up, and it makes it easier for the market to go down. Definitely check out Pat's note from, September 16th, where he really broke that down into some more basic details for people to learn and understand. Yeah, for sure. We saw that again today. But now now we're closing in a difficult spot here for the market. So we'll see if the bulls can continue to prove themselves. Yeah, the IWM has been flagging out for the entire year. So monthly flag there for the IWM. Rich here. The good part about VXX is with time decay on your side, those shooting stars in the daily are a high probability setup for a short sale versus stocks in the bull market, which are not. Yeah, for sure, Rich. So I honestly, VXX short is my favorite long bet on the market, because even if the market just goes sideways, the VXX short's going to still pay me because of the time decay. So that's been just kind of a consistent. And usually the problem with shorting VXX is it's usually hard to borrow. You usually have to pay for the borrow, and that negates the benefit of the time decay. But VXX has been easy to borrow, like this entire summer. So I've been going to it a lot, and it's been nice. Bruce here, did MRN I have news? I don't know. Is it trading here after hours? Looks like something's going on in MRN after hours. Oh, that was another good one. From Sahil just reminded me. This was kind of an opening drive trade. I know Josh was looking at this off the open through the break of these highs. Yeah, again, kind of an opening drive type of trade that really ripped. I don't think this is the easiest one in the world, but the volume is the confirmation. That opening volume is the confirmation as it's ripping through this level. 138 half or so is your entry price on that. Actually, if you bought 138 on this, you could have been on this for really incredibly low risk for the move that it gave. So yeah, U was a good one today as well that we spoke about. Next from Robert. How to play other daily ideas if we are not able to catch them all at the open or during opening price action, but would like to participate for the rest but don't want to use the low of the day as a stop. Could we focus on intraday pullbacks after 10:30, pivot points in the 15-minute time frame, etc.? Yeah, so basically Robert's question is, if you got something that was on your game plan and you missed that opening drive trade when that volume was coming in, like with Palantir or something like that, how can I still be involved in the trade? The first thing I would say to you is don't miss the opening move. And I know that's not the best answer because we're not perfect and everyone's going to miss their opening moves. It just is what it is. You can't catch them all, right? They're not Pokemon. That's what I keep saying. But you still want to. Like the best trades in the market really only give you one chance. You get that one chance at the open or whatever it is to get that great risk reward, and then it's gone. It doesn't mean it's the only chance. It just means that was the best chance. You can still look for other trades. Like I still have this U up. And this is a great example, though, of why you want to get the opening drive trade, because any other trade in this U would have eventually failed. It's not always that way. Palantir today was not that way. Palantir definitely continued to work its way back up, so there probably are maybe other intraday trades in there where you could have been involved in it. But this U here has the technical pullback and then the inside and up. That's a great entry point to be able to get involved. Again, if you're using that as your stop loss, you're eventually getting stopped out, but you do get a big enough a move here where it's going to pay you, and maybe it continues and doesn't stop you out. But all the same, the later trade is going to have a little bit of a lower probability of success. Not necessarily a worse risk reward. But a lower probability of success. And that's kind of what happens here. It kind of goes enough definitely for you to cover your risk, but eventually it stops out. Palantir, which did continue, like here's a little candlestick that I like the trade off of, which is the pullback into equilibrium continuation hammer setup. Again, not great, not as high of a probability of success anymore. Volume has definitely come down. I definitely want you to be more involved in the opening drive trade when the volume is there and it's really giving you the signal. You have a lower probability of success with this trade, not necessarily a worse risk reward. And this one does happen to give kind of the continuation. QS was another one, right? The real ideal entry point was like this 24.44, like second bar of the day here. Yeah, there's not really any other good setups in this. I don't like this as a setup in here. Maybe this kind of intraday bull flag, but same problem. You do have continued volume. That's great, but you definitely have a little bit of a lower probability of success on the continuation here for QS. So there are other patterns that you can look at to get involved in these on 5, 15-minute charts. I like the inside and up with momentum and trend. I like the hammer continuation pivot point candle into equilibrium as spots to try it and spots to get involved, but I still think that your highest probability of success is typically going to be that opening drive trade when the volume is really coming in. Jerry, would you generally trail squeezes tighter on the daily? Not necessarily, honestly. Because my rules are the same across the board, I don't really have different rules for a stock that's in a short squeeze. You know, I'm selling stocks when they get really extended, though, right? If I see a stock get really extended, that's when I'm more inclined to just book extra profit instead of trailing everything. So that's the one thing I do differently, and that's an extension rule for me, not necessarily a squeeze rule, but it just so happens that stocks that are having short squeezes tend to be the ones that we're seeing have the big extension. So that's when I might implement that a lot. Next here from Sebastian, when you say a tiny feeler, how much is that in a percentage compared to my normal position? It might literally be like a 50th. It might literally be like anywhere from a 20th to a 70th of my actual full position size. It could be in that range. Is the answer. OSTK for Sahil. Tomorrow, if you're buying tomorrow, you're buying a day 3. And I generally don't even like buying day 2s. I thought that this day was 2 was still okay because of how close it was to resistance still. The resistance was really around this like 75.50. But generally, I don't like buying day 2s unless it's a situation like that where the day 2 has it not too extended because of where it came from and it's breaking a level. But tomorrow would be a day 3. So let's have OSTK take a rest. Let's have OSTK have some backing and filling above $76, and maybe we can get a setup for OSTK for next week. Marty was not able to participate in the open house, okay, but you enjoyed the daily analysis. Awesome, Marty. Love having you participate in the afternoon meetings. Yeah, CZR is another one here that doesn't have the China exposure. So CZR, MGM, both held up really well. CZR looks good. I don't like the shape of today's candle. I don't like how much of a tail you got here. Definitely looks good that it's holding above 110, and it's a little bit extended. So this might mean that it needs to have some backing and filling. Maybe it clips below 110, but generally holds the area and then gives you some continuation. So I think that CZR still looks pretty good, but this candle here today tells us it probably is going to need a little bit more time before it can try to continue and go after new highs. Trey reminding everybody about the O pricing. Scrolling through here. Brian, we're calling a lot of trades. You know, it definitely depends on the day. You know, a lot of the trades that I'm doing, I probably do 85% of my trades in the first hour of the day. And then a lot of the rest of the day is position management. So, you know, we know midday trades have a much lower probability of success. So midday I tend to be doing much less. It happens to be more position management. Doesn't mean I'm not trading at all. Maybe sometimes I should be not trading at all. Probably would have saved me a few bucks today. But you know, we're focused on giving good, consistent setups for sure. If you're saying oh, then you're in the know. Awesome, Coop. No problem. Pete here. How do you judge whether to buy or fade the opening gap on a stock like U? Or U as an example. So it depends on the type of gap. So I have a class in my training program on gaps. Breakaway gaps would be something that you would more want to buy. Common gaps would be something that you would more want to fade. Common gaps tend to get filled. Breakaway gaps tend to give continuation. They're different types of gaps. Breakaway gap is basically when a breakout occurs via a gap. A common gap is a gap within price consolidation. And the way the supply and demand dynamic works, and I get into this in the class, is it leads to common gaps. Area gaps are also called getting filled, and breakaway gaps not getting filled so much. Also, news and volume. So like this U here, I'm just looking at this daily chart. You basically have a breakaway gap, basically opened right at the breakout. But you basically have a breakaway gap with volume. I don't know if there was news, but you definitely have the volume confirmation. So that's the answer to your question, Pete. Zahor here. How about Costco? Earnings came out just now. I didn't see them. My problem with doing the afternoon meetings is I don't really get to read Pat posting the numbers because I'm focused on jumping into the meeting. So I don't know what Costco's numbers look like. I don't know what Nike's earnings look like. Let's see how Costco's trading, though. Costco's up 0.3%, so it's not really doing too much. I don't know, Zahor. That would be something that I usually assess in my morning research. So that'll be something I'm assessing tomorrow morning in my morning research to try to figure out if Costco's something I want to be involved in. Costco tends to be a stock I don't like to trade because of its expense and liquidity. I would say that. So there's a good chance I'm not trading it no matter what. It's got a decent looking daily chart here. If we can start clearing up on these levels a little bit, 460 or so, it'd be nice to see this thing get above there. But I'll take a look at the numbers in the morning. Fish here. Why do things trade lower after positive earnings reports if people taking profit? Oh boy, Fish, don't get me started. All right. So everyone knows now I don't like sell-side analysts. I still pay attention to every upgrade and downgrade, though, because upgrades and downgrades can put stocks in play. That's what I care more about. That if a stock had important mentions and it puts eyes on it, it's going to mean increased volatility compared to usual, an increased range compared to usual, an increased volume compared to usual. All that translates into opportunity. But for the most part, what the analyst says, I really don't care. If analysts were good at their jobs, they wouldn't be analysts, they would be traders. And if any of you guys have friends who are analysts at the big banks, you should literally look down upon them and you should say, you know what, if you're so good at analyzing stocks, why don't you give up your stupid salary and become a trader and make some real money? That's what you should say to them. So the thing about earnings season, here's a common mistake I see new traders make. You see a company beat on earnings, beat on revenue, guide well, and you close your eyes and you buy the stock and you have no risk management because it's got to go up and beat on every number, right? Whose number did it beat? It beat the average sell-side analyst estimate. Well, who cares what they think? Are they money managers? No, they're not. What I want to know and what I care about is not what the average sell-side analyst estimate was. I want to know what the estimate for the earnings report was of the top 10 shareholders of the stock. And they're not going to tell me. Because maybe it beat the average analyst estimate, but it missed the fourth biggest shareholder's estimate, and he decides to spend the whole day selling the stock. What's that stock going to do? Is it going to go up or is it going to go down? It's going to go down. So we want to analyze the price action. We want to analyze the reaction to the event more than the event itself. So again, I pay attention to the earnings report. I definitely pay attention. I read beating and missing and guidance increase. Guidance is always really important. And of course, generally, if a company beats across the board, it goes up. But that is not a 100% thing, and you cannot rely on closing your eyes and buying a stock and expecting it to go up just because it beat on numbers. Because it happens all the time that is not the truth. So that is the answer to your question, Fish. Sebastian here, how do you manage to enter the opening drives if all of them happen at the same time? I'm really having problems with that. I can't capture them all. I can't catch them all. I try to catch as many as I can, and one thing you can do is put in buy stops. If you've got a specific trigger point that you're looking for a stock, you can put a buy stop right at it, and that way you can be focusing on something else, and you see your buy stop trigger in your order window, and you type it up, and you're like, oh, I'm in the position. Let me get my stop loss in. Let me get my offers out, and then you can go back over to the other one. So that's one way you can do it, but you also should not expect to be able to capture every one of them. Next here from Robert, also worth it to mention that beginner traders are much better at that bit late trade. Yes. Yes. So basically what Robert is saying here, which is true, is I find, first of all, for myself for sure, I find most experienced traders trade their most profitable time of the day is the open. For me, for sure, the open. But I have analyzed the statistics of many traders, and I know that newer entry-level traders tend to actually have their best P&L between 10 and 11 off of those trades. Really, that the 10 to 10:30 time, you still get good movement, but it's not insane anymore. So the problem with newer beginner traders is that the open is so crazy Markets are so thin, things are moving so fast that the same illiquidity, speed, and price discovery that I love for myself personally is like blowing the minds of the new trader who can't really handle it yet because they don't have the experience yet. So newer traders oftentimes will end up struggling in the beginning of the day. And if you're wrong in the beginning of the day and you don't get that stop loss out fast, you could lose a lot of money really quickly. So I've definitely seen statistics that show that newer traders tend to do best more in that later morning period of the day. So thanks for bringing that up, Robert. Good information. Tracy here. Earlier today, you mentioned that you still had some Microsoft from 2014. If you made sales along the way, how did you direct those sales? At a certain point, I have not. At a certain point, it's just been trailing, and I sometimes will add or trade around it or whatever. But it's just been trailing on the weekly chart. First in, first out doesn't have to be. The math works out the same no matter what you do it, no matter how you do it. So even if the accounting system or whatever does first in, first out, the actual math is the same. So in my brain, I don't do it that way. I guess I do first in, last out, or something like that. Is actually more of what I'm doing. And ads I consider to be other trades, like I was talking about early on in the day. But if you actually analyze the math is the exact same. So it's just really how you choose to view it. Scrolling down here, Alex G. That is a bit too simplistic of a view. There are on my analyst hatred. And there are many reasons why they are where they are. Yeah, okay, fine. But so here's one of the things that really grinds my gears on these analysts, because you see it happen all the time. The stock goes on a huge run and then they upgrade it. The stock goes on a huge run down and then they downgrade it. I mean, what did we see get downgraded today? VIPs and COM? COMM. Look what COMM got downgraded today. Where was the analyst, the same analyst, where was this analyst at 2150 to downgrade the stock? Why is this guy waiting till it's beaten down and broken and going, oh, I was wrong, I better downgrade this stock now? He's a complete joker. The guy's a complete joker. And we see it happen all the time. And I'll tell you why. So one of my all-time favorite sayings is from Charlie Munger. Charlie Munger talks about incentives all the time. And I heard him say one time that the older I get, the more I understand that incentives drive everything. And this is actually the root of all of technical analysis, is that everyone's incentive in the market is to make money. What is the incentive of a hedge fund manager? What is the incentive of a hedge fund manager? Is it to make money? That's their secondary incentive. The number one incentive of a hedge fund manager is to raise and maintain assets. That's why we see some things called window dressing sometimes into the end of a quarter, because they have to. You don't want to be the fund who didn't have a holding of the best company of the year or the quarter or whatever, so you better buy some right into the end of the quarter so you have it on your book so you can show your people, your customers, that you had it on the books. What's the number one incentive of an analyst? Is it to provide information that can make market participants money? No, that's their secondary motivation as well. The number one motivation of an analyst is to keep their job, right? So that is why all the time you see analysts chase price. All the time you see analysts chase price. Stock goes up a lot, they upgrade it. Stock goes down a lot, they downgrade it. All the time, like countless times. So am I being too broad? Am I being too general? Are there good analysts out there? Are there respectable analysts out there? Absolutely they are. Absolutely there are. Don't get me wrong. But overall, screw them. Give them my email address. Tell them to put their money where their analysis is. Anyway, scrolling through here, the Jimmy H story. I worked with him at a hedge fund years ago. Jimmy only followed analysts and was just not good. Buying at highs, selling at lows. He now sells flowers in Los Angeles. Thank you for that, Diego. Jack on YouTube's asking about GSM. Ooh, nice move today, GSM. I don't know what caused this today. Obviously, it was a really nice move. I honestly don't really have too much of an opinion on this thing. $9 is a bit of an area for it, but I had a big day into it. So, sorry, I don't really got too much for you on that one. Cool, reading you guys' feedback on the analyst comment here. Reading through. Ace Trader. If trading after 10 a.m. is the best strategy for a beginner trader, then this means missing out on the advantageous initial period. What are some other strategies you recommend for newbie traders? Yeah, so again, I prefer to trade the open. That is my favorite time. That's my most advantageous time. After 10 a.m. is really going to be more of your technical setups on those smaller time frame charts. It's kind of what we were saying earlier when I was analyzing Robert's question, where Robert was asking, well, what if I miss that opening trade? How can I still be involved? So we talk about how you can be looking for things that are trending, things that are having that consistent volume, things that are giving, smaller time frame technical pattern setups, or those trend continuation pivot candles. Those are some of the things to look out for, post 10 a.m. I just watched some analysts for years, and they called out stuff and right on within the 0.01% call out. Okay, cool. Look, like I said, I'm definitely speaking in general terms. There's some real analysts that are out there, but I also do stand by my thought process on it. Zahor providing some additional information. Sell-side analysts are always playing the catch-up. I think so too. Better earnings, next day they upgrade. Yep. Bad earnings, next day they downgrade. Yep. We see it happen all the time. I'm always impressed when someone really, when they do the opposite, because we do see it sometimes. Again, we're talking in general terms. Every once in a while, you really will see an analyst take a hard stand. Remember, what was that biotech company that imploded some years back that Bill Ackman got smoked in?
Is that Herbal?
No, not Herbalife. It was biotech. VRX. Yeah. What was the name of the company again? I don't remember. And they're still a company now, right? They changed their symbol.
Valiant. I'm pretty sure that's BHC.
Valiant, right? Yeah, Valiant's BHC now. Is that it? I think so. Is it the same chart as from back then? Yeah. There we go. There was one analyst, and I don't know who. There was one analyst who the entire time on the way up said that this is a garbage, fake company that I don't remember exactly what the scandal was, honestly. Back in this is 2015. Man, I'm getting old fast. It feels like yesterday, the VRX blow up. There was one analyst, one, the whole way up. Sell. It's a sell. The numbers don't make sense. There's something going on with the accounting. One. I got respect for that guy. I don't know who it is. Or gal. Maybe it was a gal. I got respect for that one. All the other, the more it went up, they bought more. So that is definitely the analyst I have respect for. So it's a generalization for sure, but we see it happen all the time. Analysts chase price. All right. I think we covered it today. Kind of. There was probably another 15 analysts that had coverage on it that was buy. I think we covered it. Gang, it's 5 o'clock today, so we finished a little earlier than we have the last couple of days. All right, Sebastian sneaking in a question. We'll give it to him. Yeah, okay, so Stitch Fix had a good earnings report yesterday. I like that this is starting to set up. I would like another rest day or two here below 42, but 42 is becoming the spot to pay attention to, for sure. Based on that one stock, then, Stevie. Fahmi Kadir was her name, the analyst. Awesome. So it was a woman. Awesome. Love it. Thanks, Sahil. All right, gang. Hope you're all learning. Hope you guys are participating in some of the trades that have been working out really well and making some money. I mean, if you took some of these trades today, this week, it you know, I think it paid for the free week. So you know what to do, right? Follow Derrick the Trader on YouTube. Follow at ProDeskVTF on Twitter. We're starting to do all that stuff. Reach out to the wonderful folks over at T3 Live to inquire about pricing. And I'll see everybody tomorrow morning. Take it easy.